going on, guys? Interesting episode this week. Once a year, actually I haven't done it for 2 years, but we're back this year because of COVID. Ken Hanlon graciously invites me into his entrepreneur class where I get to speak to high school students, 16, 17-year-olds, about the reality of being in business, and most importantly, how everything that happened in high school and before doesn't really matter, which is very cool for me because I barely made it out of high school. So now it's nice to be able to go back and give back to the kids, and hopefully somebody benefits. So check it out. Definitely entertaining. Had a great time doing it. Appreciate you, Ken. See you next year. ADHD to the max. I got thrown out of band, in-school suspension, gave Miss Johnson the finger. I mean, it just, the list goes on and on and on. It was a huge disciplinary problem, right?
There's a common thread with a lot of people that are killing it in the world today. They, maybe the school didn't fit them at that particular time, and we, as an education system, if you're fidgeting, you're a bad kid, and energy bad kid, and you get labeled, and sometimes you live up to those labels.
So, like I said, I probably got out of high school with like a high 60s, low 70s average. I really wish I did really well in school. For those of you guys that are doing really well in school, that's awesome. I wish I did that. For those of you who aren't, I'm here to tell all of you, regardless of what grade you have, that what happens here doesn't matter. When you leave here, it doesn't matter. I know a lot of people like high school is a very tough time. Your 20s are actually a really tough time. I think it's the worst decade of your life. Sorry to be the bad news. It only gets better after that, so at least that's something to look forward to. Most of you probably look at me and think I'm very old. I kind of understand what you're saying, although you'll probably be my age in 2 minutes. But in your 20s, it's a matter of figuring out who you are, where you belong in the world, what you're going to be. It's a tough time, so just understand that. I want to go through a bunch of points with you guys now and just kind of tell little stories surrounding them. So be unrealistic, right? It's very important for you guys to be unrealistic. I want you guys to, it's unrealistic to think that you can flip a light switch and lights can go on. It's unrealistic to think that you can, bend metal into a tube and fly across the country. It's super important if you guys want to be great, change the world, or just be happy in your life to be unrealistic, right? Be attached to the process, not the outcome. So in anything you do in life, there's a process. So it doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. It doesn't matter what the business is, doesn't matter what profession you want to be in, there's a process associated with that, and you have to go through the process. Everybody wants to have it all, be great, drive the fancy car, do all that stuff right away. It doesn't work that way. You need time, and there has to be a process. The cool thing is,
he wants to be on Gary Vee. That's his goal. He's going through the process of doing it no matter how long it takes, right? He's embracing the process. I said, aren't you going to get frustrated? He goes, no, because I enjoy doing it. So if you embrace the process, the end result's going to be great. If you can't worry about the end result and live for that. You have to live for that process to get there, right? All the football coaches, if everybody does their job to the best of their ability, everything will turn out great. Just what he's saying.
So the cool thing about the process is once you understand there's a process for everything, you just replicate that over and over and over again. It doesn't matter. There's no difference. The process is the same for being a professional baseball player as it is to being a real estate developer, as it is for being a doctor or a teacher or anything else. Like I said before, high school means nothing, right? I'm sure there's a lot of people here where high school is tough. I was bullied in high school. I think most people were bullied in high school. When you're in high school, you feel like that's your world and it lasts forever, but it's not. When you walk out those doors, it's very different. What you did here doesn't matter. The business world doesn't care what happened here. If you were ever bullied, just take solace in knowing that most people that ever bullied you end up going on to not be, have the greatest of lives. So revenge is, in that respect, is not a terrible thing. I think my biggest attribute is that I say society has no hold on me. So what does that mean? I am able to do all the things I do. Levy and I make tons of videos. We go out, we take, big risks. We're about to be the first developers to 3D print, the first legally 3D printed house on Long Island. We're doing right here a 25 lot subdivision. We're going to 3D print 25 houses. It's going to be the largest subdivision in the world. When I was in high school or growing up, most people thought I would be nothing. I had teachers, screaming in my face, telling me I'd be nothing. I was a pig, this and that. you have to not care what people think. In order to be able to do great things, you have to not care what people think. Caring what people think, even your parents a lot of times, will really restrict, what you guys end up being and doing in your life.
His parents always put positive messages in his head. So his parents must be great people, because as he's getting low grades and getting in discipline problems, they're still telling him how great he is, right? Where most of us, if we came home with bad grades and discipline problems, what the hell's wrong with you, and and that'd be a whole different thing. Charles has a positive dialogue in his head. That's why he thinks he can do anything, because he's always heard that in his head, and that's his normal dialogue. Whereas, hate to bring it about me, but my internal dialogue is completely different, and that's something I have to break through, right?
Yeah, and I'll get to my parents in a moment, and parents in general. So that's like half. My parents are both amazing, yes, but my father is a very negative person by nature, which he gave me a tremendous amount of opportunity, but a lot of that negativity was a handicap in a certain way, and I'm going to talk about your parents and my opinion of parents and life in a minute. Selflessly, so I built a very big business based on selflessly giving to people while wanting nothing in return. If you want to be there's a statement that I really love, which is, if you want to be rich, start thinking of ways you can make other people rich. So if you selflessly give people anything, right? I'm not saying take advantage of it. If somebody doesn't appreciate it or they try to take advantage, don't let that happen. But don't get caught up on this is mine, I have to hoard my knowledge or hoard my resources or hoard my relationships. The more people you help in life, the farther and more successful you'll get, because life and business is a team sport. So it's better to have somebody like you and be owed a favor than to have money, right? Because we can't get to where we're going by ourselves. It's physically impossible. All the things I do, I have teams. I have 30 some odd employees. We'll have 75 employees within the next 6 months. I cannot do all this by myself. If I'm not helping these people get better in their own lives, then I'm not gonna be able to achieve what I want to achieve. All right? Create everything. Create content, just create, period. Just go out there, do it, and just see what happens. What's the worst thing that happens? Dreaming is very, very important. I teach a class, real estate investing for realtors, periodically. And I tell them, listen, I've been in real estate for 6.5 years. 6.5 years ago, I knew absolutely nothing about real estate. Today I'm the #1 fix and flip investor on Long Island.
How long it took before you did your first deals?
So I trained with a mentor named Carl Chavone this is about being attached to the process, for 3 to 4 years before I ever did my first deal. Then when I was ready to do a deal, it took me an entire year just to get that deal. And then I did 10 houses the first year, got married and almost got divorced. Did 40 houses the next year, did get divorced, sort of, but that's a story for a different time. 67 the next year, so on and so on and so on. So your parents' reality is not your reality. So I owned a Mako Body Shop franchise when I was 23 that my father helped get me into, because he owned a different Mako Body Shop franchise in Brooklyn. So mine was in Hempstead. And my father's a great guy. My mother is a saint. She used to wheel me through the supermarket telling me I'm a prince and I can do anything I want, giving me all these visions of grandeur, which is where I get a lot of my confidence from. My dad gave me a lot of stuff also, but there was a point in time where I always thought that he had all the answers, right? So I wanted to open different businesses during that time, and he was always saying, no, it's not a good idea, no, it's not a good idea. And I thought that he was right. Who here thinks their parents are right about everything? Really? Shit, generational change, huh?
So if you have some 7th graders, 3/4 of them would have that hand up.
You guys are smarter than I was. I figured it out when I was 30. You guys have already figured it out at 16 years old. So my father made a mistake in business. Doesn't make him a bad guy, everybody makes mistakes. But at that point when he made this mistake and I was the one that had to clean up the mess and react to it, I realized that he didn't know everything. And at 30 years old, that was very powerful. That was the best thing he probably could have done for me, because at that point I realized that he didn't know everything, that his reality is not my reality. Your parents' reality is not your reality. The world of TikTok, IG, VR, AR, all the things that you guys are growing up with is not your parents' reality. They're never going to probably understand it. and they're not going to agree with certain things that you want to do, your dreams, or how you just operate your daily life. Like, how many people's parents will like say to you, I used to go out and play, you're always on that damn phone, right? Constantly, all the time. They don't understand. I sort of think that I get it, but like, it's not a bad thing, because our parents, like their parent, like, now I'm putting myself in your shoes. Their parents said something similar to them about something slightly different. It's the same thing. Their reality is not your reality. So there comes a point in time where you have to actually look at your parents and say, and listen to what they say, like filter it out, but know that you still have to take your own path and that they're not right. And there comes a point where there's actually a shift. Remember I said this, and you become the parent and they become almost like the kid. And that happens usually around the time they turn about 60 years old. So just remember that, because it's a pretty interesting point. Don't be stagnant. No one has all the answers. So basically, this is my thing. You don't have to have all the answers. I do things like right now I'm going through a deal to build a 138 unit bed assisted living facility. I have absolutely no idea what the hell I'm doing. I prepare myself to a certain extent, and then I just jump and I do it. The point is, don't be stagnant. You guys always have to be moving. You don't have to have a perfect plan. You can have a plan. It doesn't have to have all the answers, but keep going. In the plan, you might say, I'm going to walk through this door and then I'm going to make a right. But then when you get through the door, you realize, you know what, maybe I'll make a left instead. That's fine. But I'm sure you guys know a lot of people, and some of you guys are probably these types of people, and hopefully you can break out of it, where you're just constantly thinking and overthinking and not moving and doing. Moving and doing is way more powerful than thinking and overthinking. Get a plan together and just start going, and then you'll figure it out along the way. I don't have all the answers with this assisted living facility.
But you're going to get people around you who can provide you those answers.
Exactly. Nobody in here is going to know everything. They're not going to have all the answers to everything. The key is to surround yourself with people that are great at what they do that can help you. And that's the thing, when you're making presentations or you're trying to do something and people are looking at you and saying, well, you don't have the experience, because it's not just me. I have a team of people, and together we can do pretty much anything. Relax, there's more time than you think. Anybody here feel like, I mean, this is me, but anybody here feel like they're running out of time? That they should have been, better, more successful, something at this point? Yeah, anybody that's a real overachiever is always gonna feel that way. So as fast as time goes by, there's actually a lot more time than you think. You guys are what, 16, 17?
Like, how many of you guys are worried about college and what your major is going to be and what you're going to do for a living? Because I know when I was 16, all the hands, right? I was scared to death about what am I going to do with my life? What do I want to be? I saw my dad in a dead end, not a dead end job, but a job he wasn't happy with because he had to provide for a family, and he didn't have enough confidence to go out there. But at that generation, they didn't do that. They took a job and they grinded, whereas this is the time for you guys to try as many things as you possibly can without risk, okay? Because you got your bills paid for, you got your food. This is the time to explore that stuff, not when you're 35 and you got a family. Kelly, you can say what you said.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Listen, I take risks because I'm like, listen, what's the worst thing that happens? I'm not married, I don't have kids, I'll move back in with my mom. She still does my laundry anyway, and I steal food from her, so it's great. It's a win-win situation. Never be afraid of stuff like that. There's nothing but opportunity. Listen, you guys are really, really lucky. Every generation has their things that they have to combat and their opportunities. You guys have never had, right now there is so much opportunity. Like, you could just pull out your phone. You could pull out your phone, make a TikTok video walking out of this school, get 30 million views, and have your life change like that. That has never, ever, ever happened before. You guys have the ability to make tons of money, get tons of attention, extremely cheap and very, very, very fast. That has never been a possibility before, like, let's say the last 5 years.
There's a lot of tools for you to get there, right? We were looking at yesterday, what's Entrepreneur on Fire, right? They actually provide resources on how to start a podcast, how to do this. So education's free out there. It's all at your fingertips. There's never been, like he said, there's never been a better time to be your age in the history of mankind.
Yeah, in the history of the world. It has never been easier to be able to realize any dream that you guys have. And you guys can make money doing something that you love, which people years ago would have thought is ridiculous. Like, if you like video games, if you like skateboarding, if you like whatever it is, you can have a podcast, you can have a company, you could talk about it.
My man Rick is a savant with the NFL. He knows more. He forgot more about the NFL than most people know. And I'm trying to get him to start a teenage podcast on fantasy football and blah, blah, blah. I said, you do it for 7 years, you'll be 24 years old, you'll be an expert, and you'll be writing your own ticket.
Yeah, there are people that make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in advertising just talking about stuff that they like. What's stopping you from doing it?
I don't even think there really could be anything that stops me from doing that.
No, we're getting them in the process. We're working on mindset. We're working a lot on mindset in this class and convincing yourself that you can do it. He made a comment, I have a couple of cousins who their podcast is a blank show, you know? So I don't want to be like that, but your cousins have nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
I've talked to the kids in 7th grade. He bleeds green, like Gary Vee should talk to this kid.
It's like
You know, he could be anything he wants to be. Just has to believe it.
Mindset is really the key to all this stuff. So it's like every person that's great at something has this kind of delusional way that they see the world. So before I ever did my first flip, I saw the 100th flip done. Before I went to NYU, I got my master's in real estate development, again, which is ironic because I barely got out of school. But before I did my first flip, I saw myself going to NYU, graduating, and then that happened. And then before I did my first development deal, I saw it. My goal is to open a private equity fund in the next 3 to 5 years. For those of you guys who don't know what that is, it's just a very large pool of money that's raised like hundreds of millions of dollars, and you go out and invest in whatever you want. Like, I can see it. I know that it's there.
Shark Tank. People will be pitching to Charles. Charles, here's my idea, and he'll decide, do I want to invest in something like that? So he'll be a rolling Shark Tank.
But the point I'm trying to make is like I could see it. If I look over Levy's shoulder back there, I can actually see it. It's on this path that I'm getting to. I'm just walking down the path. I haven't gotten there yet, but I know that it's going to happen. You know, that's the kind of mindset that you have to have. Most people don't do podcasts or create content or, you know, chase their dreams because they're afraid of what other people think. Most important thing, like I said, society has no hold on me. That's my biggest attribute. My biggest attribute is I literally don't give a shit what anybody thinks. I don't care what my parents think. I don't care what you guys think. As much as I love Ken, I don't care what Ken thinks. If you can adopt that attitude, you could do anything. Leave with an empty tank. And what I mean by that is leave life with an empty tank. I'm 42 years old. I feel like, 41, not 42 yet, next week, right? Life is flying by, right? As fast as life is going, I feel like it's not going too fast because there's so much stuff has happened. Like 10 years has whizzed by. I remember being 30 like yesterday. 30 is an awesome age, by the way. 30 was yesterday, but so much stuff has happened that I feel like my goal is when I leave this world, like we're all going to, I don't want to have any regrets of things that I didn't do. So like I take every shot. You know, I think about things. Sometimes I stay in things longer than I should. Maybe a job that I used to have, maybe past relationships, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I go for everything.
That's awesome.
True.
When I'm dying, I don't have to say, I wonder what would have happened if I opened that restaurant. Because I opened the restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, I did it because it was there. I don't wonder about real estate. I did it at 55. And guess what? I might not be done. I might become a professional speaker. I might go to high schools and become a motivational speaker. Oh, don't cover your eyes, Michaela. Michaela has a great idea for a business.
Oh no, we're not. Okay.
Buds and Suds. A
It was-
dispensary next to a laundromat.
I always wanted a laundromat.
It was actually Drunken Wash, but then he changed it. So.
I changed it to
I wanted to buy a laundromat when I was like 25. My dad's like, no, laundromat's the greatest thing in the world. Never settle, right? This is a very cliche thing. People hear it all the time. Never settle, man. People settle all the time. They settle for dead-end jobs that they don't like, that they hate. They settle to marry people or be in relationships with people and they don't like them.
Well, their friends got married and I'm with the list too, right? Happens all the time.
Yeah, that brings me to a point that's not up here. Don't get married so fast. I mean, maybe I'm the extreme version at 41 years old not being married, but don't get married too fast. Guys, definitely don't get married until you're at least 30, probably 35. You have to figure yourself out first. And before you can be married to somebody, you have to really understand who you are and what you need in somebody in order to be able to identify if they
match with what you need. The grass isn't always greener. So it's ironic. There's a balance as much as art as it is a science, right? So you never want to settle, but at the same time, the grass isn't always greener. You have to figure that out. And only through life experience do you figure that out. So some stuff just takes time. You can't have it figured out. You have to go through the process, as we talked about before. And you have to go out there and travel and do things in order to get a bigger perspective of the world. Long Island is like a very tiny, sheltered place, especially out here. Like, I grew up in Wantagh, very sheltered place. You guys live here, very sheltered place. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, a lot of different cultures and people. It's important to go out there and experience this stuff to make yourself more well-rounded, better people. Try everything, literally, try everything. Not drugs, though. Stay away from the drugs. I've never been drunk. Listen, this is me, I'm extreme. I have a very addictive personality, which is why I stay away from things that are not good. I work 7 days a week. I'm a crazy person in stuff that I love, but I try to stay away from bad things because I have that kind of personality and I realize that. But being 41 years old, and you being 41 years old tomorrow, I can tell you, having a lot of friends that have gone down that route, that drugs and alcohol are a very, very, very bad thing. Like I said, this is not an anti-drug, anti-alcohol. I've been around a lot of it. I've seen it. I have a lot of friends. But you would be shocked at how much you will look like hell at 40 years old if you do a decent amount of drugs and alcohol. And
it's going to derail your dreams. First of all, your dream's going to get lost, in that haze.
And this is the thing you also have to realize. People that drink and do drugs, as cliche as it sounds, aren't that happy with who they are in their life. So if you have people that are going out and getting hammered all the time, social anxiety, problems at home, whatever it is, it's not cool to be whacked all the time. It's not. So if I'm not judging you if you drink, but just think about why it is that you're drinking and the reasons behind that, because it doesn't taste good and nothing good usually comes from that. Failure is great, right? In school we're taught, at least I was taught, you probably aren't taught that here with Ken, but maybe in your other classes, that failure is a bad thing, right? You get graded, if you fail, it's bad, they call your parents, this, that, the other thing, right? Failure is the best thing in the world. It's a necessary thing. Nobody ever did anything great without failure, right? Real quick story. So my last name's Weinraub. I'm obviously a white Jewish guy. Typically, we're not the most coordinated people when it comes to dancing. But, you guys might not know this, but I am a salsa dancing legend. Real talk. I can salsa dance like a gazelle.
Hold on.
I'm not salsa dancing right now.
I'll get some at the end, before the end.
So, but the point of that story is this. The first time I took salsa dancing lessons, I took a video of it. And it was, without a doubt, the worst, just uncoordinated, painful looking thing you have ever seen. And my friends are like, you look insane. Why would you do that? Never do that again. And I'm like, no, this is great. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because I'm never going to suck this bad again. This is the worst I'm ever going to be. The first time you do something is the worst you're ever going to be. It only gets better from there. But you have to fail. I fail over and over and over again. So this assisted living facility deal is going through. I tried one before that. I was looking to do one in Oceanside. I had everything lined up. I had the right politicians. I had the right architects. I had everything lined up perfectly. I got the blessings from everybody. And I didn't know I was buying a temple or part of a temple. And I was going to turn it into an assisted living facility and then rebuild the temple for them because the congregation was getting smaller and they didn't need all that space. What I didn't know is that the temples were actually feuding amongst themselves. And one temple came out to basically squash it, and they were screaming and yelling at the politicians, we're not going to vote for you, and blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, I lost after 2 years, and I lost $200,000. Learned a lot, though, but I found another one. See, a lot of people would have been like, crap, I lost $200,000, I'm never doing this again. But I went and got another assisted living facility deal on a piece of land, and we got that approved, and that's going through, and that's going to be massive, and that's going to make up for the $200,000 loss and then some.
$200,000 loss with my wife, there would be no other time. That would be it, and I'd be talking like a eunuch, But the fact that you have the ability to do that, take that loss, learn from it, and then get bigger and better, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's the way it is. I mean, listen, nobody wins all the time. You lose, you learn from it, you keep moving. That's what it is. People skills. People skills are super important. It's very, very important. Best job I ever had when I was 15 years old, I started working at a 7-Eleven, and I just talked to customers all day. Being able to communicate with people is the number one thing. People want to do business with, hire with, hang out with people that they like. You could be terrible at what you do. People will still hire you and do business with you because they like who you are. That's super important. And it's also super important to be able to, sell and communicate your position, how you feel about things. So get comfortable speaking with people. Grow through pain. So the cool thing about every gut-wrenchingly terrible, horrible, anybody here ever just gone through something so emotionally traumatic that you thought you didn't even want to get out of bed in the morning? Right? Anybody ever gone through that? Everybody will go through that at some point in time. The cool thing is, and hopefully you guys who have can attest to this, I will attest to it on my end, is that something amazing always happened on the other side of that. Or I became a much better person, a stronger person on the other side of that. It's really, for people that are athletes, obviously, the more you work out, the more muscle strain, the more fatigue, the stronger and better you get. The same thing applies to your emotions. So now I'm at the point where I look to be uncomfortable, right? I want to be constantly in situations where I'm uncomfortable because I know that on the other side of that discomfort is going to come something, a better experience, a better version of myself, things like that. So most people want to run from emotional discomfort for whatever reason. I run towards that because I know that something great is going to come on the other side of that. So when you guys are in that situation, it's important to sit there, breathe, take it in, understand, and just know that it's not going to last forever, but when you come out of that, you're going to be better.
I've heard that a lot from entrepreneurs, to embrace being uncomfortable. That's a tough thing. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable, but the more you go through it, the more you train yourself to it, and you can rationalize it and realize what you're going through and talk to yourself, you'll get through it.
All right, so I'm going to blow through the rest of these so then you guys can have a few minutes to ask me any questions you might have. College isn't for everybody. It's not. Especially now, the ROI on college is not great. If you're going to be a doctor, cool, got to go to college. You're going to be a lawyer, cool, got to go to college. I went to college, thank God. I went to Nassau, I went to Farmingdale, then Nassau, then Hofstra. Thank God my parents paid for it. I learned absolutely nothing in college. I just didn't want to get a job, and I thought that's what I was supposed to do, to delay the inevitable. At the end of the day, I didn't come out with any debt. If I did, I would have been pissed. If you have to go into college to come out with debt, you might want to rethink that depending on what you want to do in your life. Again, doctor, lawyer, engineer, teacher, need it. If you're not, if you're going to be a business person or something else, and if you're lucky enough to have your parents pay for it, that's one thing. But if you have to pay for it and come out with a lot of debt, that's something that you might want to rethink because college is losing value every single day. What it takes to be great. This is a big thing. I wish when I was your age somebody told me what it would take to be great. I was a hockey player. I played travel ice hockey.
Never knew that.
Yeah, my whole life since I was 8 years old. And I wanted to be in the NHL. And I loved it, and I have an addictive personality, so I was very good at it. But there's a different level if you want to be great at something. What it takes to be great is sickening, obsessive dedication to what you do, day in and day out. If people aren't telling you that you're out of your mind or that you do something too much, you have to literally eat, breathe, sleep almost 24/7 on an obsessive, almost addictive level for you to be the best at something or truly, truly, truly great at something. Brings me to another point. There's something called the 10,000 hour rule where they say there's no shortage of people that are great at anything. What happens is they give up. So like we were saying about the process before, it takes a certain amount of time. It takes 10,000 hours to be great at something. That's what they say. But people give up at 5,000, and 6,000, and 9,000, and 9,500 because they're tired. It takes time, dedication, just sickening obsession with whatever it is that you guys
We
do.
have that instant gratification now, so that's something you have to fight too. Where you want quick results, where you're not going to get them.
Be a plumber. Best advice I can give you. If I could do it all over again, I would be a plumber. Plumbers crush it. If you don't know what you want to do, consider being a plumber. Plumbers make a ton of money. They can make tons of money just signing a piece of paper. It's not perceived as a glamorous job, but like I said before, college isn't for everybody. And there's a lot of people I know that went to college that have huge debt that don't make any money. You know, lawyers, there's a lot of attorneys that close my deals in which we make a lot of money doing, and they're making $80,000 a year. I make more than $80,000 on a deal a lot of times. We do 70 to 110 plus deals a year, plus commercial development, just to give you an idea. You're responsible for your own destiny. I don't want any excuses, right? If you are not where you want to be today, tomorrow, 20 years from now, where you long forget we even had this conversation, it's your fault. If you're not where you want to be, it's your fault. You're not doing what it takes to get where you need to be. That's it. You can make excuses, but they're only that, they're excuses. Right? If you can live with that, cool. But the reality of it is it's your fault. Do what you love. So I own this Mako Body Shop franchise, but I didn't love it. So I sold it, and everyone's like, you're nuts. My dad included, like, why would you do that? You know, you have this business, you guys bought the building, you have a career, it's safe, why wouldn't you stay there? I wasn't happy. Every day I wake up, Levy and I go out, we make content, we do deals, we laugh, we're doing this big charity basketball game, he's gonna lose, right? He's worried, he was training at 4:30 in the morning.
Were you involved in that game, or I was cut out?
No, I wasn't, they already had a coach. Like I asked.
Who's in charge of it? Braun, Eric Braun?
No, he's not even involved in it. It's James and Kevin.
They need a coach, though.
They do need a coach.
No. He's being sarcastic. He's saying they're going to beat us. The point is I wake up every day, my life is awesome. I'm out here today talking to you guys, barely made it out of high school. Now I'm dropping knowledge on you. Hopefully you guys can use some of it, or at least enjoy the entertainment value of it. We build stuff. Every day is a challenge. I meet super cool people. I can do anything I want. Do what you love. If you're not doing what you love, if you're not with somebody that you truly love or are in love with, be with somebody else, get another job, start another business. There's more time than you think, but life is short. All right? Last thing I'll leave you with before questions is cut toxic people out of your life. Might be your parents. Might be your best friend today. Might be a relative. It doesn't matter. There's a period of time I was probably like 27 years old where I just literally like wiped out like 60% of the people that I would call friends because they weren't elevating me as a person, they weren't positive people, whatever it is. Like, I'm a big energy person, and I do that with hiring people, and I do that with relationships, and I do that with friends. If I don't feel like this good, positive vibe from you, I can't even be around you. You know, I met Levy. I didn't see what Levy did. Levy and I drove around together. We looked at some houses. We talked. I felt like Levy was a good person. Levy and I could possibly be together forever, right? Levy and I we have that thing. Same thing with the friends that I have now. But anybody in your life that's not like that, gotta go. And sometimes those are people in your family. You obviously can't get rid of your family, but you have to understand that they might not be the best people for you to be around all the time.
Influence on you, right? Don't let them tell you a story or determine your mood or your mindset, right? If they are your family.
Yeah, like I said before, your parents' reality isn't your reality. Sometimes, you know, your sister, your brother, your mom, or your dad, or your cousin, they just don't get it. They got their own demons, their own issues, whatever it is. We got like 2 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions about anything business or life related? I'm not sensitive. You can ask me anything you want if you feel that.
You're always mentioning the losses you have, like you have to recover from it. What was the biggest loss you've actually had and how'd you recover?
Well, I lost $200,000. That was terrible on that assisted living facility deal. And it wasn't a matter of recovering. I mean, it was terrible, but it didn't change my life. I also live very lean. Like if you notice, so these pants my ex-girlfriend bought me and the sneakers. I did buy this sweater though. And this,
Girlfriend, the girl I met,
oh yeah, ex-girlfriend.
is your ex now?
Which one are we talking about?
The one I met at.
Oh, no, I still date her. No. I know you like her. Yeah, she's very nice. I don't have flashy stuff. I don't drive a fancy car. I don't own a watch. I don't own a pair of Dunks. I don't own anything fancy. I buy 100 plus houses a year, and I don't own my own house that I live in. I rent an apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment. Why? because that stuff drains you. So I can lose 200 grand taking a shot to change my life, to make me a multimillionaire, because I'm not blowing money on shit that I don't need, right? Somebody else have a question?
I have another question. So you know how you talked about like your 200K that you lost, like
What? Oh, the 200K that I lost?
your 200K, like did that affect you a lot? Like did you feel like you didn't want to do business after that? Like after the 200K you lost?
Nah, I wrote it on a piece of paper and I stuck it to the wall and it sits in my office and I stare at it every day.
So it kind of like motivates you in a way?
Yeah, I don't care, man. I mean, listen, I didn't want to. Like, I celebrate the losses as much as I celebrate the wins, because there's something to be said for that. You're not going to win all the time. I lost. Why did I lose? You know, and there's something that I won't talk about here, but maybe I'll come back next year because Levy and I have something that's going to possibly come to fruition, or it's going to come to fruition in a week and a half, where why did we fail, right? We failed because the political machine was nervous that they weren't going to get votes. They loved the project. It was great, but they were afraid. They caved. So there's the problem. How do I fix that problem? Levy and I are going to fix that problem.
Going to join the mob and get a bunch of politicians elected.
The Jewish mafia, yes.
Is there like a goal that you already achieved that you're still working on right now?
Great question.
Is there a goal that I've achieved?
Yeah.
I pretty
Not
much.
working on.
I always have goals that I'm working on, and I'm always thankfully achieving things. So, you know, I wanted to flip a house. I flipped a house. I wanted to leave that business. I left that business. I wanted to flip, 100 houses in 3 years. We did way more than that. I want to open a private equity fund. That's going to happen. I'm always chasing something. I'm never happy. I'm never satisfied. There's always like that next thing.
One more question?
So you were talking about how you're gonna build like a town or something of 3D houses.
Yeah.
How long would that
Following
take?
students, please report to high school.
So we close on the land in like 60 days, and then it'll take 6 months to get the permits to put all the roads in. I'm gonna have my first road, Handsome's Way, which is pretty cool. Takes 6 months to build the roads, and then it'll probably take a year to build the houses. So it's probably like a 2-year project.
It'll take a year to build 25 houses.
Between that and selling them and all that, yeah. So it'll be the biggest 3D printed subdivision in the world, right here in Riverhead.
It's going to be all over CNN, Fox News, MSNBC.
Samantha Trapasso to the main office, please. Samantha Trapasso to the main office.
What'd you say?
Wouldn't that put a lot of construction workers out of jobs?
So a lot of people say that. 100 years ago, everybody was a farmer. You know anybody who was a farmer today? Money is never lost. It's moved. Jobs are never lost. They're just moved. Yes, construction workers, there won't be as many construction jobs, but there's Uber and tech and AR and VR and content creating. Like 10 years ago, Levy has a full-time job creating content. That's what he does. He now runs a team of content creators that he'll keep building on. 20 years ago, there was no such thing as a content creator as a job.
50% of the jobs that will occur in 10 years have not been created yet.
Progress, evolution, it's important, right? Construction has a lot of issues. The material costs a lot of money. There's the issues getting labor. Like, do you want to go out and swing a hammer and build a house? No, you don't, right? You want to make a lot of money doing something tech related or something else, right? Exactly. I can't build houses because I can't find people to do the work. What are we going to do? There's no place to live.
Build a robot.
Got to build a robot to do it.
In the podcast, is that a green screen in the back, or are we building like something, or building an office?
Our office is under construction.
Yeah, I noticed.
So we're just sitting in the middle of chaos.
If you didn't become a real estate agent, what would you like to do?
So I'm a real estate developer, not a real estate agent. I can't imagine doing anything else. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I like people, I like raising money, I like investing, I like being creative, I like doing what I'm doing. I do what I do very well, and I surround myself with people that do what they do very well, and together we change the world.
How did you learn like all of this information that you got from like experience? And if it wasn't like you learned it from yourself, who taught you?
So it's very important. I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, school's failing people every day, right? Like I said, I learned nothing in college. It cost my parents a few $100,000. I didn't learn that much in high school or middle school. I learned from being out in the business world. I learned from meeting people that became mentors. I learned from people online, watching videos, like I said.
He studied for 3 or 4 years before he made his first deal. That's how educated he got. He didn't just jump into it.
And then I did 67 houses, and I went and got a master's degree. So like, you guys have this, like, all the information you'll ever need is like 2 clicks away on here.
And it's free, a lot of it.
So
You get an Ivy League education for free online.
I hope you guys got something out of that. All right. I'll write my handle up here. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I'm on every platform.
We want to see a little.
I am not doing salsa today.
Come on. Ivy, does he have to dance?
IG. So if you guys ever have any questions, there's anything I could do.
Yeah! Yeah! All right.
If there's anything I can do for you guys, you have any questions, you guys can always like DM me, send me emails, whatever it is. My phone number's on there. You can text me or call me. All right?
Guys, thank you very much. Great questions. Big round of applause for Charles.